Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to Movie Night here on Random Trek. I am your planet shifted captain, Christopher Ingle, joined as always by my first officer, a man who at times reminds me of Willem Dafoe, Commander Brennan, the mystical Mar. Brennan, are we in Barsoom?
K.O. my chieftain.
Today, for our movie, we are taking a look at the much criticized 2012 box office bomb, John Carter. Brennan, I know we're going to get into these details here, but let's just kind of address this up front. Why do you think this movie is hated so much?
Well, I don't know how much it's hated as much as it did lose the studio a lot of money. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it was definitely ahead of its time. And I'm not really certain as to why.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that overall, it's a pretty good film.
And I would agree with you that I do believe it is a really good film. I really enjoyed this the first time I saw it. Um Looking at Rotten Tomatoes, it sits almost right in the middle at 52%.
Okay, that makes sense, actually.
It kind of does. Um but I don't understand why it's so low. I just and we're going to get into this momentarily. But this film, like, I don't see where the problems are. Critically, it was not really liked. Cinema Score even today has it at a B plus.
Which is actually decent.
It's decent. So if it's liked that much, I say that much, not the greatest, but if it's liked that much, why didn't it do better? Or was it suffering from something else in 2012?
Well, let's talk about the title for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
This might be the worst title to a major film. They at least could have called it John Carter of Mars, or the original title, A Princess of Mars.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually read the first three novels in this series.
Mm-hmm.
The Princess of Mars, The Gods of Mars, and The Warlord of Mars. And they do borrow elements from The Gods of Mars. But the title is very bland. John Carter. I have to imagine that didn't help the marketing. Your thoughts?
I'm not sure. And, this is one of Stanton's babies, Andrew Stanton, whom I adore. Andrew
Indeed,
Stanton
I met
created.
him. I
Have
met
you
him.
really? That's cool. Stanton has created some of the greatest pictures in Disney canon history for Pixar. Finding Nemo, Wall-E. This guy knows what he's doing. And he knows how to tell an apocalyptic type story too. And we're existing in a world of Mars where, it's almost Mad Max like. There's not a lot out there. You got to fight to survive. Um, I thought everything in here would work. And we will break it down as we normally do momentarily, but music worked, the action worked. I didn't think the acting was bad. The ending needed a little work for
Yeah,
me, but I
the
think we're
ending
leaving
was
for
rushed. The ending was rushed.
ending was rushed, and it was a cool ending, but they tried to leave it open to a sequel. So I guess the question we have to ask ourselves in the end is, why did this movie that cost $284 million, which even this was over 10 years ago, even today, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money,
It was a
yes.
lot of money, and it barely made over its budget. That's not even counting advertising. So it
Advertising and the theater distribution and things like that.
after everything, it only made 263.7 million when you subtract everything. So this was a loss for Disney.
Yeah,
And I don't know. And it is though without without fault or let me try that again. It is in fact one of Disney's biggest bombs in their history.
unfortunately, yes.
It's rough. Um let's break down the film. I'll turn the con over to you, and then maybe we can decide for ourselves in the end why the people, despite us liking it, and it seems the people liking it, why it didn't do well.
Yeah, there's a lot to say about this film. The idea of adapting A Princess of Mars by Disney goes all the way back to the 1930s,
Hmm.
where even the author, Edgar Rice Burroughs, thought the idea was a great idea
Hmm.
to adapt it originally as an animated film.
Motion, what do they call that? Rotoscoping.
I wonder how that would that have done better, I wonder. But regardless, yes, this film was released in 2012, directed by Andrew Stanton. You know, we said this before on our show. The 2010s was a great decade for science fiction.
Hmm.
This, I think, was one of the films that was actually, despite its box office earnings, I'd say it's definitely an imaginative addition to the 2010s sci-fi renaissance. So let's sort of get into it. A former Confederate soldier named John Carter is teleported to Mars, or as it's called, Barsoom, where he runs into the green-skinned Tharks and rescues the red-skinned princess. Sorry, I guess I shouldn't say red-skinned, but
It's how that's
the
referred.
red
Yeah.
Martian-skinned Princess Dejah Thoris.
Hmm.
While a civil war is brewing, where Sadban, the ruler of Zedanga, has been given a weapon by the Therns and sets to go to war with the city Helium, which is Dejah Thoris' city. And John Carter gets sucked into the politics and the war of Mars. So, have you gotten to read the novels?
I have. I am familiar with these. I grew up reading these, and it really inspired for me a love of this pulpy science fiction. It really helped me to grow to love things like Flash Gordon. Um, and that science fiction can be schlocky fun. It doesn't have to be highbrow. It can just be entertaining and a good time.
Yeah, and you can definitely see the Star Wars influences.
Hmm.
As or certainly young George Lucas probably read these books.
Hmm.
So as an idea, as a the plot is a little bit complicated, but as a concept of the story, what do you think of it overall?
This is one of those things that I try not to question the how and why. It just does. I just go with it. Um, because like he accidentally gets teleported, although we find out it's not really teleporting, but that's another day. Um, he's sent to Barsoom to Mars. we discover all the things that he does. He can leap, he's stronger, all because of course his body, his bones are a little more dense and the gravity's little less.
Gee, a little
All
bit Superman, a little bit.
a little bit Superman-y. Now they've exaggerated it a little bit scientifically. If you landed on Mars, yes, the gravity is less, but not that much less.
Not really, only a third of Earth, really.
It's acting like he's on the moon, to be honest, but I
At
digress.
first, yes.
Um, the idea of we have a princess who's being forced to be married off to the bad guy, and that's a little tropey. But again, that idea stemming back to when this was written in the early 1900s was a new word.
1912, actually.
Yeah,
So,
it was a newer idea. So I'm not going to hold that story against it, but I have seen that trope before. We have seen it in other things that Disney has done. The Prince of Persia movie. This idea has been done. Gotta
it,
save the
it
girl.
does have a very Prince of Persia feel to it, yes.
It does. It also, in a way, there are a lot of movies this reminds me of. It also reminds me a little bit of Dune.
hmm
Not just in the way it looks because of the red sands, but it's Dune. Um, but otherwise the story itself is fun. Again, if you just go into it and enjoy this as an action sci-fi kind of thing and don't try to break down the political ramifications of this society, you're going to be perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, I would agree. It's definitely I think the word pulpy makes sense.
Hmm.
It's not really meant to be taken seriously, and it's meant to be very much in the on this week's adventure kind of storytelling.
This kind of story, this is one of those cases where I think it would make a better series than it would a 2 hour, 13-minute movie.
I agree with that.
And
You,
I would watch that series. I happily would have watched that series.
let's talk about that really quick. The pacing in this film
Hmm.
is a little disjointed because there is a lot they're trying to do here.
Hmm.
And 2 hours and 13 minutes might just not be enough. And there are elements that they could probably um, afford to do without to give the story more time to breathe.
Hmm.
As we said, the ending does feel a bit rushed. So, how do you feel about the overall pace of the film?
I compared this with you to Lawrence of Arabia.
Mhm.
Lawrence of Arabia is a very slow movie. It's a beautiful historical movie, but it kind of fits when you're talking about the length and time and breadth of World War One.
Yes,
This
it's a
tries
4 hour movie.
It is a 4 hour movie, but it's understandable why it's that way. You're going through an entire life of a man. Here, everything is compressed. I feel, or the opening is really rushed. The ending is really rushed. And then once he gets to Mars, they kind of stretch everything out, but there's too much to do. So when certain elements are explained and introduced, you're like, but why?
Yeah,
There's no
Therns give
time.
the ninth raid a said dad, it's a dad lost to married princess.
Right. And
And the
everything,
folks are having a civil war within themselves, and
yeah,
it's
I'll say the Therns to me are the biggest kind of, huh? If you
yeah,
don't go through the books, if you don't understand, you're like, what are you doing? And you get a brief explanation, but I'll be honest, it's very mustache twirly.
yeah, yeah. In fact, in the book, they do not appear till the second novel.
Right. They compressed a lot of
So
time into these books.
they probably could have done without the Therns.
Yeah, I think you still give them the ability, maybe a brief thing. If you knew you had a success on your hand, and I do believe they intended to have a sequel. I think one was
Yes,
intended.
yes.
Um, then that's fine. but you're dealing with 100 year and actually a 100-year-old difference between the movie you put out and the books. And let's face it, this is not Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. This is not, I mean, it's Edgar Rice Burroughs, yes, but in the modern context, the author of Tarzan is not everybody's favorite person. So this was a risk to make in the first place.
He's not a
You,
great literary giant.
no, he writes pulpy books. Now again, I like pulpy sometimes.
We
Sometimes I
like
don't.
that. We
I
like Tolkien.
sometimes I don't want to think. There are Western novels I can think of by Louis L'Amour, which again are very pulpy to me. But I can
Yes.
read them sometimes because
Oh,
they
yes.
just are what they are, and you don't expect it to be less or more.
This is also in the same realm as like Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, and it's
Of
funny
those
you
pulpy adventure stories.
it's funny you mention that because that's one of the reasons Disney acquired the rights to this officially in the 1980s.
Yeah.
They've been trying to do
Yes.
this for years. They wanted to create their own Star Wars trilogy or own their own Conan the Barbarian.
Yes.
But they could never quite make it right, even despite going through treatments with John McTiernan and Jeffrey Katzenberg. They just couldn't get it to work. Even at one point, Tom Cruise was approached to direct and star. Even at one
Yes.
point, Tommy was involved, and they couldn't make it work.
Yeah.
So they
It's
held on to this, and this right here was Stanton's baby. Stanton
indeed.
came in and said, "Hey, I've done these movies for you with Pixar. Let me take care of something that means to me." And this was his baby at that point.
And the fact that performance culture had become a thing by this time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because of Gollum, because of the Planet of the Apes trilogy.
And I'm okay with that. I really am. I don't mind motion capture. To this day, Davy Jones absolutely
Yes.
is
Yes.
Davy Jones and Gollum. I'll put those two together
Yes.
are the pinnacle of what those can look like.
And
And
let's
isn't
not
it
forget that the first one is actually Jar Jar Binks. That's
that is also true. I don't think that's as clean, but it
no,
got
but it's
better.
definitely bringing it forward, bringing the technology forward.
Yeah. So they had everything they needed. They had all the tools. I wonder if the timing wasn't right.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be questions about why didn't it succeed?
That's my biggest thing because I like this story and I want more. And with the ending they give us, I kind of want more.
Well, now that we're living in the era of streaming series,
hmm
it's not impossible to imagine a Barsoom streaming series.
It's a rough tell because I think if Disney still has the rights, Disney's still going to look back at this and go,
Mm,
I
yeah.
don't know. They're going to second guess themselves.
So, certainly the pacing. Now, the opening, about 15 minutes
hmm
of Edgar Rice Burroughs as a young man coming to the estate is in the book, is in the
hmm
prologue of the book.
Oh, that is an aspect of this whole thing that I really like. That is a selling point that Edgar Rice Burroughs is a character that this is loosely based. I like those. We have seen other movies that do some similar things with real life characters,
Yes,
usually in comedies. I'll give you a couple examples. Shanghai Nights, which was a comedy sequel to Shanghai Noon, Jackie Chan, Owen
yes,
Wilson. One of the main characters in it, we didn't realize at the time, was a young Charlie Chaplin, and he would go on to create these kind of things that he witnessed in those. And I was like, okay, I like that. I like that touch to it. Other times we see authors in different books
the
or
Canterbury
different movies.
Tales even
Oh, Canterbury. Thank you, Chaucer. Chaucer.
inserts himself as a character.
That's true. So I like those treatments of it. I like literary aspects of this, and making him his own character in here was a good idea on the writer's part and on in the story part, making him in that. And the young man playing Edgar Rice was just charming. There was and he's only in it maybe 10 minutes,
Yeah,
front and back, maybe 10.
he was. I think, just for my money, as good as those scenes are,
Mm-hmm.
they probably could have started this the way the novel officially starts.
Right.
If John Carter going through Apache territory, finding a cave and getting transported to Mars.
Right.
I think if they had jumped right into that, it might have led to better pacing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just my thoughts on that.
Yeah. Young
Oh,
man's name. Sorry, I had to put
yes.
that out.
What is
Daryl
his name?
Daryl Sabara. You might recognize him better from his days in the Spy Kids
Oh
films.
my goodness.
He's
Was that him?
little Junie Cortez.
Oh
That's who
my
that
gosh,
is.
that's him. Oh my word.
Yep.
So the pacing is a little off in this film.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, when he's on Mars, that's where I think it's actually pretty well paced. Overall, there's a few things that feel a bit rushed, and a few things that maybe they could have cut out just for time.
Yeah, it is a little confusing. The war that we have between the two cities, kind of the explanation. And actually, the film opens up with an attack or something we don't really know by the two sides and the Therns helping one side, and
So Dangan and the Therns appear, and
you're like, what? What's going on? What?
and they
What?
give the ninth ray to set Dan and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But
Oh,
nonetheless, the
let's
stuff
just call it the MacGuffin, by the way.
the stuff with Dejah Thoris
Mm-hmm.
and John Carter and Paris Tarkus, that's really where it shines.
Right.
So let's talk about these characters.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this young man named Taylor Kitsch as John Carter. I remember at the time that Taylor Kitsch was kind of the rising star.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this film helped his career because, unfortunately, of its underperformance.
Right.
Now, my analysis is I do find him a little bit bland in the role. Not to say that he doesn't do a good job, but that it is a little bit bland. And I don't mean any disrespect to Taylor Kitsch, but the performance feels a bit stiff. What do you think of his performance?
I would have to agree, but I think part of that goes into the writing, and I'm not talking Burroughs. Um, in this, he's a Confederate, a former Confederate soldier. He is an officer,
From Virginia, as they
right?
call him.
He's from Virginia because they call him Virginia the whole time. Um,
Virginia!
right. So you would think there would be a certain personality. There would be something there. Either he's, all for the South, but I just want to get away from it all. I'm leaving it all behind. He's a deserter, or something. Give me a little
Or the
background.
Southern Gentleman.
Yeah, that plays in only once when the Therns talk to him,
Hmm.
and he deduces where he's from, and we discover the Therns are around a lot more than we think. Um, But yeah, there's nothing else to him to tell me anything about him. Where is his past? We know he was married. Do we know a little more about that?
We
Could we
know that
see
he
a
has
little?
a sister, and we were not sure how.
We know nothing. We know nothing other than he's greedy. He is greedy in the beginning. What's he looking for? The one thing he's looking for.
Wants that gold in that
Wants that
cave.
gold. Wants that gold. I thought it was, and they're in the. That's another thing. They're in the Arizona territory.
Hmm.
So that's an interesting thing in that
Yeah,
regard.
there's some great visuals in that scene, by the way.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Beautiful.
Arizona's a great place to film.
And of course, a little bit of Bryan Cranston.
Very little bit. I didn't actually. I forgot that was Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
He's not in it much.
He's not making meth in this one.
No. um,
Mhm.
but his performance doesn't give me a lot of hope. I don't necessarily buy him 100% as this paragon of virtue, this hero that
Yeah,
he is supposed to
because in the
be.
book, he's portrayed as very heroic.
Yeah, so I don't buy that. So, give me a little more into the backstory, into the things he lost, because when they talk about marriage and she looks at him, she looks at that ring. She knows, he knows, we know, but we don't know anything else about it.
We know that he had a family, they died, and
So without that, you don't see the motivations behind him. Did his family die as a result of a battle?
I mean, he
Did he
comes
make
back to the cabin and it's a flaming ruin.
Yeah, or was it punishment for something he did and
Or
now
was
he's
it
been on the
Native
run? Or
Americans attacking the.
give me something. Although it's Virginia, probably not.
Yeah, totally not. It was totally Union soldiers or something like that. Oh, I think our captain is frozen. Um, so nonetheless, that's our thoughts on Taylor Kitsch. He's a little stiff here. Sorry, you froze there.
Yeah, you froze for me for a sec.
You went to Mars. You went to
I went to
Mars. Thank you,
Mars and
Doc.
back. It's a beautiful place.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. How was Non Zelentis? Is that great?
Oh,
So
I
then
had to
we
take.
come to the heart of this film,
Yeah.
and that's Lynn Collins as Dejah Thoris.
Hmm.
I think she is charming. She has a lot of character and personality. I really think she's the spotlight here.
And to be clear, this is not the first time that her and Kitsch have been in the same movie.
Oh, interesting.
Couple years before, they were in a little known film. It was really known, that bombed, X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh, yes.
He
Yeah,
was Gambit, she was Silver Fox.
indeed.
Mhm.
But yes, I think in this film, when she's on screen, it really lights up this movie. What are your thoughts on her as Dejah Thoris?
I really like her. our I call it our second introduction to her, when Carter meets her for the first time, takes the sword and defends her, and he does a good job. But
Yes.
then she takes the sword back and fights just as hard as he does. I absolutely love seeing that. Uh,
It's a
she
go
she
go
can
ahead.
she can kick butt. She can kick butt. She's very Buffy like, and I'm
Yeah,
okay with
she
that.
is. Yeah, I like that. I
Um,
think that it's different. It's quite different than what is written. But I like the change because the way she was written in the novel, it's rather helpless. And I like that they made her more action oriented in the film.
mhm,
Not only do I think Glenn Collins is very beautiful, but I think she really has a lot of charm here. And whenever she's on screen, she just is delightful.
mhm.
And I like the look. I like the red Martian look. But the makeup, I do like that. Mm. The interesting sort of red tattoos. Very, very interesting artistic. And let's talk about that in a minute when we get to spectacle because this is a great looking movie.
Mhm.
Um, so then we come to our favorite green six-limbed Tark, Taurus Tarkus, played, of course, by Willem Dafoe. Does Willem Dafoe ever not give a good performance?
I want more of him in this whole movie.
Indeed. He has the perfect voice for this character. That scraggly, rough voice.
Hmm.
And this is performance capture here. And I think the Starks look pretty cool.
Hmm.
So what do you think of Willem Dafoe's Taurus Tarkus?
I love Defoe. He is able to just take any moment and eat it up and make it work. This guy can
Mm-mm.
play, malicious and villainous as, Norman Osborn, but he could be your best friend. This movie, Orko and Aquaman,
Mm-hmm.
I love when it's, he just takes the character and he runs with it. And he's fun, he's charming. And the work with the language, really well done.
Oh, very good. Very good. Yes.
I really like that aspect of it. You must have had the same dialogue coach they did in Lord of the Rings. I'm not joking.
Apparently.
I think so, but it works. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, he's terrific. And there's so much personality to this character. And, you know, like he does in the books, he becomes John Carter's like best friend.
Mhm.
They are definitely like simpatico. Now, of course, we have some other, those are kind of the big three characters. One that I think we should mention is Samantha Morton as Sola. I
Mhm.
think she does a good job here. I would have liked to see more of Sola, but she is a character that I found myself drawn to.
Mhm.
I like this character. She's sympathetic. She's very helpful and very skilled.
Mhm.
I like. She's a great addition to this movie. And Samantha Morton is a great actress. Who some of you might remember from Minority Report. She was the psychic, one of the three psychics. Um, and then of course we have our villains,
Mhm.
who I think that in the case of Mark Strong as Mantai Shang and Dominic West as Saban, I mean, these are great actors. This we know. But I think what they've been given here is not very interesting. What are your thoughts on them as villains?
They are a little weak. Again, it comes off as very I keep messing up that word. Mustache twirling. Um, the Tharks are all about, oh, we're gonna cause war and havoc and we're just gonna feed off of all the resources that happen, and Sabthan just wants power.
I mean the Therns.
Or yeah,
You
sorry,
said Therns.
it gets very confusing.
Yes, no strange words here.
The Therns, yes, the shape-shifting aliens. They just eat resources. That's all they do. That's what they say is we consume and we move on to the next planet. Um,
But we learn in the second novel. I won't spoil it for you, but we learn some things about them.
yeah, but Dominic West, I don't like it at all.
And
He's
he's a good
just,
actor. We know he's a good actor.
yeah, but he doesn't give me anything to work off of here, which is sad because this villain, I liked this villain in the books. This works.
Yeah,
This does not work here. He's,
unfortunately, no.
I just want power. He's a tool. and that's all it comes off of. But he's not even really menacing. Like,
Not really,
I'll
no.
give you a good example of where this dynamic works. I believe is it the Legend of Zorro?
Missed the sequel.
Is that the sequel? Mask of Zorro? Then sorry, oh, I just flipped the two.
Yeah,
Mask
the
of
Legend
Zorro.
of Zorro we don't talk about. Mask of Zorro we talk about.
Mask of Zorro. So you have two main villains, Capitan Love and
Don Montero.
right, Montero.
Rafael Montero.
Um, each one is menacing in their own ways. Montero is pulling the strings, kind of controlling Love and using Love's influence to manage
And
everything.
there's just a psychopath. Yeah,
Right.
really.
Love is a psychopath. This is true. And those two work well off of each other. And
Very well.
what's
Yes.
really great is the dynamic of our villains in that story, one villain has a connection and a history with our hero. One other they make sense. They play off of it. It works. Here we have two villains and none of it makes sense. There is no connection to Carter. To them, our princess is just a means to an end.
Get
It's not
to
even a matter
marry
of
her and become the ruler. Yeah.
yeah, it's not even a matter of getting the princess. It's get the princess and kill her.
And then
It's Lord Farquaad.
try to unite the it's weird.
It is. So,
It's like, well, how are you going to unite them if you kill her? That doesn't make sense.
you
Yeah.
need them, and then we even have a third kind of half villain
Yeah.
in Thomas Hayden Church.
Tall Hedges. Yeah.
Yeah, Tall Hodges. He's not even that.
No,
But
he's
at
just
least,
there to be menacing. I
but
don't
at
know.
least him on a tribal level, I understand what he's doing and where he's coming
Yeah, and
from.
it's Thomas Hayden Church, too. We like him. So,
Yeah, but overall, our primary villains, our antagonists, are just not that threatening, and they offer a MacGuffin to make power happen, and it just isn't good.
no, unfortunately not. Now, another character we have to mention really quick. Willa, our faithful frog dog thing.
I like the dog.
We love Willa. He is such a great character in this.
Hmm.
Because he has all that, like, protective energy of a dog.
He saves the day too, and I like
And he
him.
saves the day, and he's just so lovable.
Hmm.
I think he's a great character in this story.
Yes,
And then, of course, we got a few other minor characters here and there, but none of them necessarily stand out per se. So, nonetheless, and one actor that I do have to mention, even though he doesn't get a lot to do, I always like it when he shows up, and that's Kieran Hines
as
as
her father, right?
mhm,
Yeah.
as Turtles Norris. Yeah, I like him just because I like whenever he shows up in a movie. So,
You want to talk about a villain when he's Steppenwolf in the director's cut of Zack Snyder's Justice
yes,
League? That's
absolutely.
a villain.
Absolutely. And the Zack Snyder cut is better than the other cut.
Hence why I said it.
um, so those are kind of our characters. What do you think about the ensemble as a whole?
Overall, it's fine. It
Hmm.
services the story well. I wish that our villains were more menacing, but it doesn't hurt our heroes any. Carter and Thoris are still very kick butt. Actually, and Tarkus, all three of them are still very kick butt. They do really well in the arena, and there's a lot of things that I really like about these characters. It just keeps going, and I enjoy that. Together as a group, they're fine. They'd be better if we had a comparable villain, but they're fine. They're serviceable. Again, this is pulp. It doesn't have to be complicated.
No, it doesn't. Please give me Marlene Collins, please. Sorry, I might have a slight crush on her. Maybe. We'll see.
Really?
Anyhow, okay, so let's talk real quick about the screenplay. This, of course, is adapted from The Princess of Mars by Edgar Rice Burroughs. Um, and you and I have both read these books. What do you think as just an overall adaptation of the original source material?
This is where I have to say I think it would be better to read the books because as
Agree.
much as huh
Yes, I would
yeah oh
absolutely agree.
as much as Stanton, and by the way, Mark Andrews also wrote with this, who is also a Pixar mainstay. um as much as I love them and respect them and I know they can tell a good story, I think they tried too hard. um Here's the thing. I keep saying it's just pulp, but I enjoy it. The reality is, I would have loved this if it was more.
Yes,
If
I
you
agree.
took this pulp character and made it bigger than life and made these villains menacing and made their real stakes and give me something more to touch here. It's like a soft piece of fruit or a bruised banana. Yeah, I can eat it. It's edible. It tastes like a banana. It's fine. But I want something riper, something fresher, something bigger. Give me more ideas here. The writing here is a serviceable adaptation, but if, like me, you're looking for that, go into the books instead. It's still pulpy, but at least you get the thrill from page to page to page, and you're not expecting it to go any further. It is
Yes,
what it is. I don't raise my expectations in the books. I do in a movie.
yes, I would agree. Now that I read the original three novels, I think that, yeah, it definitely, this as like a Westworld style series would be really cool, I think, if they were to do that right. Maybe someday. I don't know. Okay, let's talk real quick about the music. It's Michael Giacchino, obviously a very, very well-respected composer,
Mhm.
Oscar winner. Um, in my opinion, his best work is The Batman. This score, I think, is serviceable, but maybe not super memorable. What are your thoughts on the score here?
Um, I keep comparing this to Lawrence of Arabia, and this had those vibes to me too. Um, the battles were battly. I mean, Giacchino knows how to hit the notes, and this definitely felt like it was coming from something out of that region. Um, and that might be part of the reason, just besides Mars as a desert, that it came off feeling like Lawrence of Arabia. I think musically, it felt like that too, that epicness that goes into it. And I'm not going to complain about the music. I like the music. It carries where it needs to, and the action points are good. Um, it's Giacchino. I have not complained. And again, comparing with Disney, Giacchino has done a lot of Pixar work.
Yeah, I think that the score does what it needs to do. It would have been nice, just because it's so pulpy, to have a score that was maybe a little bit more memorable. Something more like Conan the Barbarian or something like that. But nonetheless, it does what it needs to do. Now as far as themes are concerned, this is not a particularly deep film, And the source material is not particularly deep. This, as we say, is meant to be the adventure action fun. And so there aren't a lot of deep ideas here. So there isn't really much to touch on in that regard. But that's okay because that's not what the movie is trying to do. Um, so let's talk finally about the spectacle. Let's start with the sets and the costumes.
Mhm.
I think the sets and costumes are terrific in this film. Absolutely. The architecture, the costuming, the makeup on the Red Martians, the visuals with, well, we'll get to there in a minute, but as far as the look of it, the cinematography is pretty good. The sets are really good. Costumes are terrific. What did you think of all that?
In terms of the costumes, or I have to say, as little costumes as
Lots
there
of
were,
costumes, yes.
but it works. It works for what we're going with. And if you want that aesthetic of like Conan, I buy that. Okay,
Yeah,
I buy where we
absolutely.
got it. Yeah, no, this made sense, and everyone looked great in their costumes,
The
and
armor looks really good. I
yeah,
love the armor.
it all looks good. All of it really, really built well into this world that you're trying to address. But it did feel very exotic. I will say that um, very Arabian Nights inspired.
Yeah, very much so.
That's not necessarily a good thing. It is because you're setting it where, but looking at it from a perspective of Orientalism,
Mm, okay, good
maybe
point. Good point.
maybe not the best thing. But then again,
Yeah,
this is from the same company that did that with Aladdin. So
well, and Edgar Rice
twice,
Burroughs was not the most racially, ethnically sensitive.
right?
Because a lot of his stories do delve into the, like in Tarzan, you get the exoticness of Africa.
Mhm.
The Africans being portrayed as almost an other.
Yep.
You get like the yellow Martians in some of the Mars novels. You get the whole, red skin, which obviously is a word we don't like to use. You're right. There is a level of Orientalism here
Hmm.
that can be a little bit troubling. But I think just as far as a visual look, it's a beautiful looking movie.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's pretty. It is pretty. And that's hard to do with a desert.
It's
Let's face it. Obviously, goes without saying, you and I love Star Wars, but the
absolutely
stuff on Tatooine sometimes gets a little like,
can be a little bland.
yeah, yeah. Desert shots are not easy. You look at Lawrence of Arabia, desert shots are not easy.
And, and somehow they managed some very beautiful shots in Lawrence.
Lawrence, well, that took a lot of work, let me tell you.
Yeah, the
I'm sure with
sunset there, and I mean, oh my goodness.
with a lot less. Here, you had to take Earth and turn it into Mars.
Yeah,
That's no easy feat. I will say it looks beautiful, but my only other concern is every other image that we've ever had from Mars, the skies indeed are red. I
it's,
did not see a lot of red skies in this movie. Something I kind of wish they did,
it
because
would
that'd
it
be,
would have looked very interesting if they did. Yes,
do
I
something,
mean the
because
visuals in the movie The Martian, for example,
they red tinted everything.
really give you that Martian feel.
Hmm. That was good. That was really good at doing that. Here, we don't we're on Mars. Of course, we don't understand how there is a life on Mars, but we don't, again, another thing, we don't question. We
Yeah,
don't think about that.
during the old, War of the Worlds era.
Kind of, yeah. Although, if we could connect those two, wouldn't that be
Oh my
interesting?
goodness. Ooh.
Anyway, um, it is beautiful. They did a good job of it, but if we're going to be on Mars, I would have liked to have seen a little more effort to make it look Mars-like.
More
Give me
exotic.
a
Yeah.
little more red tint. You didn't even have to do a lot, but a little bit, because that is what makes Mars Mars.
Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, as far as the just the general look, it's a beautiful film.
Mhm.
My goodness, some of the cinematography is gorgeous. But yeah, there are things that maybe they could have added, but for what it is a great looking movie.
Mhm.
And thank goodness it's not the Zack Snyder suck out all the color, color desaturation kind of movie.
It's not the, well, that wasn't Zack Snyder. That was that was Whedon.
Well, yes. This look is more like, the beauty of things like Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
Just these beautiful, colorful shots.
Even then, though, they know how to use saturation in those films and how to
It's
make it
true.
work. This doesn't do that. It
That's
just,
true. This is lacking a bit of that.
other than the people that are there, this could be any desert. This can be Earth. This could be a dune planet. This could be Tatooine. It could be any planet.
Yeah,
I need a little delineation besides its people. You need to make your setting a character in of itself. This is
it's a
something
good
that I
point.
do I do respect Lucas in the prequel trilogies about, that
Absolutely.
the locations that we got when we finally truly saw Coruscant,
Oh my goodness.
that I buy that. I get what it is when we get the Naboo and what's going
Naboo,
on,
I'd love to live on Naboo. I'd love
or
to.
the Gungan city, and like all of that becomes a character unto
Even
itself.
things like Geonosis and Mustafar and other
Most of,
planets.
yeah, planet building was something George Lucas had, and he knew visually how to do that. Here, it's very generic. Does it serve its point and its plot? Yeah, I get it's Mars. It's a desert. It works. Okay, that's fine. But I would like a little more delineation to make Mars so different. And then our hero John Carter wouldn't have spent 20 minutes going, where am I, where am I, where am I? He kind of would have known, looking up when he saw two moons and a red tinted sky, I'm not in Kansas anymore, or not in Arizona.
Yep.
That's another thing too. I didn't say it earlier, but they don't address it very well. The idea of him teleporting there, he's not really teleported, because it becomes
Yes,
a
in the
plot
book,
in
it's
the
like an out-of-body experience.
it is like an alibody, or like a cloning, or something.
Yeah,
They're
where
not
where he's
clear.
still on Earth, but he's
Mm-hmm.
also on Mars.
Because there's a body on Mars, and then when in this movie he's teleported back, he's teleported
It doesn't
back.
really explain it very well in the movie.
Yeah, they don't do a very good job of it. Although in the books it's not the greatest either, but
No,
there's
but
something
you
there.
still have an idea of what's going on, so.
Yeah. So that was another thing too. I forgot to mention that. I was like, give me a little more of that. What is the deal
Yeah.
behind here? But that's fine. Technology, pulpy, we just accept it what it is. You know,
Oh, go
all in
ahead.
all,
Go
okay,
ahead,
I was
Rick.
gonna say, all in all, like, I enjoy watching this film, and I get engrossed in the action. I get engrossed in the relationships between our three heroes.
Yes.
And that's what works for this movie. And that's what carries it forward. The music helps. It definitely helps. Your settings are serviceable. Your costumes are really good.
Goodness,
Um,
yes.
and of course, the visuals in terms of the motion capture are fabulous.
Yeah.
The design of the ships, we sail on the air, or on the light. I like how they did that.
Yeah. There's been-
Solar.
This is a very visually ambitious film
Hmm. It's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous.
with
And
performance capture and CGI.
yeah, but it doesn't save it from, you know, bad villains and the band transition into writing.
What do you think, though, of the visual look of the Thurs?
Um,
Overall, I thought it was pretty good, just me personally.
they're distinctive. They're distinctive. There's no way you would miss them or mistaken them for another franchise or
It's
another
true.
movie. So I like that. At least they're original. The horns, although I there were some elements. Um, their faces, especially when you saw in the arena the skulls, were very
Yes,
mythosaur-like from Star Wars.
yes.
Um, Having multiple appendages the way they do, very bug-like. Um, and I would argue a little bit of the Martian Manhunter from DC.
Good point. Good point.
So a little amalgamation of everything, but you look at them, you know they're from this film.
Yes. And this is very ambitious, but I think 13 years later, it still looks pretty good.
It's not bad.
Yeah, the CGI has held up pretty well. So that brings us sort of to the end of our thoughts. Now, as much as you and I might have criticisms of the movie, I think we're in agreement that we like this film a lot.
I do. I'll admit I haven't gone back to watch this because I was like, there's nothing new, but I enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Having to watch it again, I'm glad I did. I like it. I sat there having a good time, even though, yeah, I could see its inherent flaws, but I had a good time.
And that's really what this kind of story is going for. And I'd say on that level, it succeeds.
Yeah, and
So,
I would argue it's worth watching at least
yes,
once.
absolutely.
But I want to come back to the question that we can speculate on, but I think you and I have got to come up with some idea here. If we like it, and in general the fans liked it, the critics were mixed on it. What happened to make this film, in general, the failure that it is in financially? Because if you don't go watch this movie, it doesn't make movie. It's a failure, plain and simple. Doesn't matter what happens down the line. It's a failure. We've had a lot of great movies that were failures that we've talked about initially, and
Yes.
later they pick up. And who knows what time will tell on this film. But for now, we're only a little over 10 years out. I don't think it's helped. So, what went wrong?
I think the marketing was not well handled. I remember when the movie came out, I didn't really know that it was coming out, really.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember hearing that it had failed at the box office. But I think it was a marketing problem, really.
Mm.
Also, 2012, there were other things going on, other movies that people were interested in.
It's rough. I mean, what else? Well, what else was going on at the time? The same weekend that it came out, the Lorax came out. Where the
Okay.
Lorax came out the weekend before.
Yeah.
That is not the movie I would think would be a big budget film like this. I would not have thought it at all. And then the next weekend, a surprise juggernaut of 21 Jump Street came out.
Yes.
Then the week after, another franchise came out that did really well, The Hunger Games.
Yes, it did.
So it didn't exactly have a lot of favors going on, but I would say, at least in that week, the first week should have had something.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
unfortunately,
yeah,
it's a Blade Runner problem. Like Blade Runner, it came out at just the wrong time.
yeah.
But regardless, who knows what time will tell.
It may become one of those things that down the line people are like, John Carter, they may talk about it and enjoy it, or especially if it's picked up again. But if it's picked up again, I don't think it's going to be Disney. I think
You know,
another
we're
company
gonna
would.
start over.
I think honestly, HBO or Netflix really,
They
and
can handle it. Yeah,
give it a little more. And I'm not saying it has to be R, but give it a little more PG-13. Make it a little more adult. Give it the kind of series treatment that Dune deserved.
absolutely.
And I think you got something.
Yeah, and Billy, I mentioned Westworld because that's an example. This is kind of the space western in a way.
Hmm.
Give it that kind of level of treatment, I think. All right. Well, overall, though, we enjoy this film.
Hmm.
And I said it didn't do well at the box office, but as you pointed out, so many classics did not.
It's true.
So who knows? But Andrew Stanton, I tip my hat to you for really going for it. You really did.
Hmm. And to be clear, I did buy this. I bought it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I don't own it. I need to buy it.
I do own it. I remember buying it. I watched it once and I didn't watch it again, but I kept it. I was like, I like this.
Yeah. And
So
so I'm
yeah.
glad that this film got made, even though,
Hmm.
even though there were troubles, I'm glad it exists.
Yes.
All right. Turn the con back to you, Captain.
Thank you so much. All right, next week we have animated movies, animated
Yes.
films, or not movies, but they're little mini movies. We have the animated series, The Counterclock Incident, Lower Decks, Dos Cerritos, and Prodigy Preludes that we're going to take a look at. But for movie night next month, it is Commander Brennan's birthday month.
Well, sort of.
Well, sort of. We're getting there. But for his birthday upcoming birthday month, as I got to request one, he wanted one. And so we're going to take a look at definitely a sci-fi classic. We're going to go back in time to the year 2001 and explore A Space Odyssey.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not one of my
Can we
favorites.
touch the monolith? Can we touch the monolith?
As
Are we allowed
long as
to?
we get to talk about Kubrick and how I don't really like Kubrick, we'll go for there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Kubrick. I have a thing with Kubrick. I grew up. I say grew up as a preteen and teen reading a lot of Stephen King.
Yes.
And when I saw The Shining, as scary a movie as it is, the only thing I could think of was, this isn't the book.
Yeah.
So I've kind of had an issue with Stanley Kubrick ever since.
Well, he's got a lot to answer for.
Oh, so much. None of it really good. But some of his films last the test of time, and I will admit it, this is one of them.
Yes, indeed.
This is it. So we'll be taking a look at that in the next month. Brennan, where can the people find you?
I'm in Blue Sky, when we're at Blue Sky.social. You can find me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at Page Turners They Were Not.
And you can find me on Twitch and Twitter at cingle1984. But as always, we end every episode, Kapra, live long and prosper.
Peace and long life.